Good morning, YouTube family. Today, we have a very interesting video. I am going to show you what my day looks like as a copywriter. Now, if you don't know me, I've been copywriting for 6 years now, more or less. And I started off as a freelancer. Now I am contracted under an agency, so I'm not employed by them, but I do spend the majority of my time working for them. And I will walk you through what my day is going to look like today. Now, I just want to say most days look different, kind of similar, but kind of different. And I'll point out like what would be the ideal situation on that specific day. But for today, I'll let you walk you through a list that I just did now, which you cannot see because apparently iPad screens don't like webcams. And I'll just walk you through what I have planned for today. So you get a very realistic view, and today's kind of intense. So that's gonna be very good for you. Now it's literally, what time is it? It's 9:46. So normally I start like whenever. I don't have a set time. Just depends what time I wake up, how I slept last night, if I have something else to do in the morning. So yeah, today, we'll be starting at probably like 10:30. Which is kind of sad because I do have a lot to do. So the first thing that I do as soon as I make my pink collagen cocktail and my coffee, I open ClickUp. If you don't know what ClickUp is, it's a project management software. Now, most businesses have their own version of that. They could be using ClickUp, they could be using Asana. Some people use Trello. Some people I think use like a Google one, or there might be an option inside of Slack as well. But that's kind of my main thing that I go to. And basically it shows me, like I would love to screen share with you and show you that, but I cannot because my contract doesn't allow me to do that. Like I cannot give you my clients' information and stuff like that, or show you, what we're working on and, whatever. NDA. But basically it's like I have a dashboard, and ClickUp is the kind of software that clients or you can code to be in a specific way to kind of I think it's actually built on Notion. If you don't know what Notion is, it's like a note-taking app that can also be coded, and cool things can be added, or certain automations can be made. And that's kind of the setup we have. We have automations where, you have different stages of the project. So you have like the planning stage where details are being agreed with the client. Then you have the copy stage. So it goes to me where I create a concept idea, I write the copy. Then it goes to design. Then after design, it comes back to me for design review. And then, we move it forward to like send it out or whatever, get it with the client. Now, sometimes we'll have also a copy review stage if there is a junior copywriter and, we have to kind of look at their copy. And that's kind of what I went through in my first like weeks of working here, because obviously they didn't know if my copy would be on point every single time. So someone had to actually check my copy, which is kind of funny when I think about it now, because it used to make me angry. I was like, you don't have to do that. Like you're wasting our time. But obviously now we don't do that anymore. And so ClickUp just lets us manage every project to make sure we're keeping track of things. And within ClickUp, everyone has their own profile, and they'll be assigned to the specific stage. So for example, I would be assigned to copy automatically. When I send it to design, it'll be assigned to a designer, or I can change the assignee. It's really cool. It just allows us to operate in a more organized way. And so when I go in there, I see like my dashboard, which shows me all the things I'm working on. And then they have different due dates, and I have set up my own like copy dates to, organize that in a way that I'm not overloaded on any given day with too many projects, but also everything gets done on time and ideally ahead of time. We're kind of working on that, trying to get like 2-3 weeks ahead for each client, but that's not always possible. Because sometimes we're waiting for content, sometimes we're waiting for information, sometimes things change last minute. So it's not that easy to get ahead, okay? But that's kind of what I do. And I just take a quick look and scan for any priorities. If there's anything that's super urgent, then obviously I just pay attention to it, because I have a tendency of losing track of things or forgetting to do things. So, it's better to just kind of check on that. And I also check for progress on the ongoing tasks. So maybe I sent something to design yesterday. I want to see how they're doing on that, if it's been complete, so we can just keep things moving. Now, when I started working with this agency, I was purely doing copy, but very quickly I transitioned into doing some account management, design review, copy review right now. So there are a lot of different things that happen during the day. It's not just writing, which is great for me, because I feel like I would get bored of just looking at text every single day. Like, I need to be engaged in different ways. I need to be challenged in order to feel like, interested in the work that I'm doing. So I normally do this to estimate how much time it would take me so I can plan out my day, because that's kind of, when you work in an office, you kind of go in at 9, you leave at 5, whatever, if that's your company culture. I know that in some offices, people stay behind until like 9 or 10 or whatever. If that's you, then I'm sorry. But I'm not going to lie. Some days I've worked until late. Not that I worked the whole way through, but maybe there was like communication stuff that needed to happen later on in the afternoon, and I would be working until late, or during busier periods, that also happens where I just work like 12 hours in a day, which is okay. Like, I think it's normal to an extent. Obviously, you don't want it to be an everyday thing, but basically I look at how much stuff I have, and I can roughly estimate how long it's going to take me. And I set a goal to, like, realistically, can I get all of it done? And if not, what can be moved until tomorrow? What can wait? That's really important, because in the past, I would focus on things that needed to be done, that could be done later. And then the things that needed to be done sooner, I kind of didn't do those on the day. And then it was a mess. So I've learned from my own mistakes. So here's what I've got for today. I have 15 emails. So the agency I work with, we do emails. We're only doing emails. I mean, sometimes we do like Facebook ad creatives and stuff like that, but 99% of what we do is emails, and the other stuff would just be additional stuff to, help out the client or whatever. So right now we have 15 emails planned. 15 emails on my my list, but there's like 100 different emails happening right now as we speak. Even though we're not a huge agency, we do a lot. So we have 15 emails. 4 of them are from yesterday. So what happened is Monday I took a day off because I woke up feeling sick. That's also why I didn't post on YouTube, in case you were wondering. I just woke up feeling sick, and I needed the day to rest, because I knew that if I don't rest, I'm going to be down for the rest of the week. So I took it off, I rested. On Tuesday, I woke up feeling fine. So it's always a good strategy to just, take 24 hours to recover. So then on Tuesday, yesterday, I was catching up because I had my Monday stuff, I had my Tuesday stuff, and now, today is Wednesday. Oh yeah, so that was yesterday. I'm confused about what day it is. Yesterday I was catching up on Monday stuff, and then these 4 emails are emails that I kind of left over because I didn't manage to do everything that I wanted to do yesterday. And that's okay. Most of the time I do have a lot of leeway. Sometimes no, sometimes we have to get stuff done for yesterday, and it's just, I just have to do it. And I used to be the only copywriter in our agency, but just recently we made a new hire, and I have high hopes for this person. Please help me. So I was actually able to assign some of the stuff I had to do yesterday to him. And, in the past, that just wouldn't be possible. Like, it would just be all on me, which is, really sad when you're taking time off and you need someone else to pick up the slack, because then I would just have to plan ahead of it. And oftentimes I would take a day off, but I actually had to do little bits of work here and there. So it wasn't ideal, but, working as part of a small agency, you have to understand. It's kind of like when you work for a startup, you have to do so many things and you have to take responsibility. It's not like you're going to be looking at your manager, at someone else to resolve these problems, because they have a bunch of stuff that's happening. And ideally, you want to take as much responsibility for your projects or things that, are on your plate. And I'm the kind of person that, I actually enjoy doing that, because I feel like I'm actually useful. Whereas if I was just, not taking responsibility and just kind of sticking to, okay, this is my job and I'm not going to do any more than this and blah, blah, I just would feel like I'm not doing my best, which isn't cool because, I like my team. So I have 15 emails, 4 are from yesterday, 6 of them I think can wait until tomorrow. Worst case scenario, if like other things come up or if I just can't get through everything today. And then 6 of them belong in one flow. So that kind of makes it quicker because you're following the same idea. It's just split between 6 emails, basically. So it's like writing one long bit of copy, but splitting it into 6 emails, which I am down for. And I need to do that today because actually that was something that was due yesterday. The copy was meant to be done yesterday so that we could start on the designs, but I missed it because it ended up being at the bottom of my list by accident. So, I really want to prioritize that today. So that might seem like a lot, 15 emails. You might be thinking or calculating in your head, like, what if it takes me roughly an hour to write an email? That's 15 hours of work. What? So normally, like on a normal day, I would have about 6 to 8 emails on my plate, and it could take like 6 hours, but normally it wouldn't because, some emails just write really fast. Some emails write longer, but that's normally because I can't concentrate, not because I am, not because it's a lot of words or a lot of work or something like that. So that's what I would try to have on my plate most days, like 6 to 8 emails, and not put too much because then I know that, I'm just overestimating myself and and it would just be a stressful day. But days like this happen as a result of last minute changes, new client coming on, sales, like when we have Labor Day coming up. So obviously we're going to have so many promotions going out, multiple emails, over the course of 5 days for each client, which kind of adds up, So that's the first part. That's the copywriting part. Then I have 9 emails in copy review. So as I mentioned, we made a new hire and he's still getting used to like the way we write emails and, maybe he's not as experienced. And he was very open about it, but we think that he has a lot of potential and he's really good. So we're like, it's okay. And then I don't know why I even went into that topic, but anyway, I have 9 emails to review from him. Now, ideally, I would want to get through 3 today. Now, it might seem like a very quick thing to just read through an email and maybe point out any mistakes, but actually, it's kind of hard when someone else writes the copy with their idea. Like, if I were writing it, I would have like my idea that I would be following. And then here, opening someone else's work. And first of all, it's their idea. And I have to make sure that the copy, yes, aligns to what we want, but also I don't want to completely butcher his idea. So when I'm making the edits, I need to be, just respectful of that, because it's very easy to fall into this kind of trap of just wanting to change things to be your way. And I've noticed this a lot with people when they corrected my work before, that they would not like the idea or something, which is fine. You don't have to like it. But then they would just try to change it to be their idea, which basically created a lot more work than we needed to do. And in the end, it was not a significant difference, but it just meant that we had to pivot the email, which was unnecessary. But I always trusted them because, I was there to learn, and I did learn a lot that way. But later on, I realized I was like, oh, okay, I need to be careful to not do that, because then when I was reviewing someone else's work, actually, I saw that I was doing the same thing. And I was like, wait a minute, this is not cool. I'm just doing the same thing that I found annoying when I was, or the thing that I've noticed when I was just starting. And I don't think that's the most time efficient way to do it now. So when I read his emails, I try to be as open to his idea as possible, and just, I focus more on the structure and, the elements that would drive the most conversions. So we're talking about the CTAs, and then because emails need to be skimmable, because we're not doing plain text emails most of the time, we're doing designed emails. So I need to focus on the headers and, just make sure that it flows, it makes sense. And then ideally, that it is conversion oriented. So that's why it takes a little bit of time. And then actually, the ideal case scenario would be me leaving him comments so that he could do the edits. So instead of me going in and putting the copy in there and then sending it to design, I would leave him comments. He would go in, make the changes, send it back to me, and like this, he would learn. Now, unfortunately, sometimes I don't have the time to do that because I want to get the email to the designers as soon as possible because the due date is soon. So I just make the edits, which, yeah, it's just faster than leaving comments. But I want to make sure that, I find time to also just give him pointers and teach him. So that concludes like the copywriting section. Now, on different days, we might also have edits. Like I'm not gonna lie, it happens very rarely, and it doesn't happen because the copy is bad. Normally what happens is maybe we're pivoting, like there is something that needs to be added to the email or taken away, and I need to go back in and just kind of make those changes and then send it back to the designer. Sometimes it's just that the brief changes, or sometimes it is that maybe the email came out in a way that the client didn't picture. They picture something different and they just need those changes to be made. But today, luckily, we don't have any edits. We just have what I said, the 15 emails to write, 9 emails to review, but ideally 3. They're on my list, but I'm not going to promise I'll do them all today. So there is another part of my job that kind of extends beyond the copywriting, as I mentioned. And so after like seeing those emails and whatever, the next thing that I put on my list is what needs to be done in Figma. So Figma is a graphic design software where basically we have a huge board for each month for each of our clients. And then in there, we have the designs that are ready. They're kind of lined up next to each other, and we can zoom in, we can move things around, we can change the text, or we can, just show them to the client also in that software, get it approved. And then we export it from the software into Klaviyo or the chosen email marketing software, I guess. And then we send it out to the world. So normally I would have a few emails to review and I would kind of play around a little bit. Now, the thing about Figma is that it can, if you see a design that maybe you don't like, or it's not what you pictured, or you think you could, not what you pictured, or you think it could be done better, it's very easy to like get dragged into editing it yourself because there is a time difference between me and the designers. So we have designers in different parts of the world, and like I'm in Europe, and then I overlap very slightly with our team in Asia, and then I overlap very slightly with the team in the US. So we have like a few hours here and a few hours there. So in about 4 hours or 3 hours, the designers in the US time zone will come online. And until then, like nothing will be done in design review or whatever. So we always have to take our time zones into account. It's the same with them. If they have questions or whatever, they need to get them to me in the morning, because by their afternoon, I'm going to be done. Like I'm going to be sleeping, So that's kind of something that we all have to keep in mind. And it does make it a little bit more difficult, and it requires a little bit more planning. And sometimes it means that we need to, like a full 24 hours will elapse before I can conclude something that I start, So maybe I will make some, send a design to a designer at my 1 p.m. and I won't see it until the next morning, basically. So normally I try to stay away from doing things in Figma myself, because it can take so many hours, because I'm not a graphic designer. So obviously, even though I know how to use the software and I can make changes, it will take me more than for the graphic designer, which is a waste of my time, because that's not what I'm here to do, and that's not where my time is best used. So I kind of try to, remind myself that that's not what I should be doing, and it's not efficient. But sometimes if it's a simple change, I will do it, especially if it's copy related. Like I can make the text smaller, bigger to fit it. I can move things around. But yeah, like I wouldn't want to come up with the whole concept and idea for the emails. So right now for today, I have one flow to QA, which is, just making sure that everything is perfect, because a lot of the time, we have the finished design, but actually there's going to be a typo in there because the designer, as they're getting the copy from the file where I put it in, where I write it in ClickUp, and they have to put it into the email. Sometimes, they'll make a typo, or I made a typo in the document and they just copy it across because they don't spot it. So we have to really go over it and make sure that the email is perfect. So I'm doing like quality assurance, basically making sure there are no typos, making sure like all the images are right and everything's aligned and it's not like off center or nothing weird has crept in. Sometimes little design typos sneak in, which will basically be like something is out of frame or something that shouldn't be there is there, or, little elements that are off. And I just need to either correct it or let the designer know so they can correct it before the email is sent to the client. So we want to make sure that before we send the email for approval, it's already perfect. So the client doesn't pick up on typos and stuff like that, which happens sometimes. And it just looks unprofessional and it's kind of embarrassing. Like we shouldn't be showing that to the client, but it happens, and because our clients appreciate all the hard work we do, and a lot of the time we go above and beyond for them, they don't get upset and they just kind of bat an eyelid or whatever. So yeah, today I have to QA a flow, which I was actually supposed to do yesterday because my colleague asked me, but I forgot. And then I have to review one design, which I sent to the designer yesterday. It's kind of unfortunate that it's just one, because that means we didn't produce so much for this specific account that I review for, because under my wings, I have one account that I manage. So the reason I don't manage more is because obviously I should be focusing on copywriting. But this kind of happened naturally, where we had a project manager who left and I was covering for her. And then we were like, it doesn't make sense to like pass this client from hands to hands. And I'm very comfortable with them. I get along with them really well. So it just makes sense for me to manage the account. And it freed up like my manager, I guess, from having to, take care of one more account so he could focus on the newer clients and whatever. And we're doing really well, even though there's a time difference, because that client is in the US and obviously I'm in Europe. So we have like a pretty big gap. And normally they will write to me like my nighttime and I will respond like my afternoon. So it's their morning. But we're doing fine. We're doing good. So I'm going to review that design. And then after I'm done with Figma, I go into Klaviyo. And Klaviyo is the email marketing software. So, that's where that's the software brands use to send out their promotional emails. Now, what I do in Klaviyo is for that account that I manage, that I mentioned, I would, so for example, for today, we have one email that needs to be scheduled. So I need to make sure that that is scheduled. We do have a dedicated person that normally exports things from Klaviyo and into the experts. I'm getting distracted because my screen has just turned off. Like my laptop is still on and I see that the webcam is still recording, but the screen has turned off. And I think I have a problem with like my cable. That's why I'm trying to concentrate. But I'm like, what am I going to do? How am I going to like switch this off? But anyway, let me actually unplug it and then I'll just... Phone is still plugged in. Anyway, I'll just continue. Sorry for the technical issues. So yeah, normally, it's back on. Okay. So normally it would be, we have a dedicated person who exports things out of Figma into Klaviyo, and then he sends the final email with the links to me. I review it, I check all the links, and then I approve the email to be scheduled out and actually sent to like hundreds of thousands of people. So that's why we go through so many checkpoints just to make sure it's perfect, because you really don't want to send out an email that's imperfect in some way to like so many people, because it's going to affect the way those customers see the brand and it's going to affect the performance, and it can get messy. And it can generate more work for you, because if something goes out with the wrong link, you have to make another email immediately to correct that with the correct link. which obviously means you're going to be pulling designers of whatever they're doing, and you have to stop your work to correct it, and it's just a mess. So it's really better to triple check everything. So sometimes if that person, because also he works in the US time zone, he's not available, I will export things and do them myself just to get it done and get it off of my to-do list. And then if I go into Klaviyo, I should also be doing some reporting. Now, I'm still behind on my July report for that client. I'm just not, I tried to get someone else to do it, but he didn't know how to. And now I'm like, I really don't want to do it, but I know I have to. It's just hard finding the time for it. And then also when I'm in Klaviyo, I will be doing strategic planning. So I'm reviewing, how the flows are performing, how campaigns have performed. And based off of that, I would make suggestions and plans for future campaigns. So that's kind of my day. Okay. So just to sum it up, 15 emails to write, 9 emails to review, but there's leeway in the amount that I can do today. And then I have 1 flow to review in Figma, 1 design to review in Figma. Then I need to go into Klaviyo and schedule out 1 email for the client today, and maybe get started on some reporting. And that's kind of the plan. Now, things happen during the day. So maybe an account manager is going to remember that actually there's something that's due in urgently, or they will get a request from the client saying, hey, can you please get this done for us today? Sometimes I've had this where the account that I'm managing, they would ask me if we could do like an email last minute. So I would just sit down and get it done. Sometimes also, because of the time difference, as I mentioned, my evening would look like receiving messages from people on Slack, or, sometimes it's questions, sometimes, other things. And normally they're not urgent, so I don't have to answer them there and then. And most of my team members understand that, it's my evening and probably I'm not going to answer. But sometimes I do check them anyway if something comes through, just to make sure it's not urgent. And if I need to, I will pass it on to somebody who can do something about it. Or, I will just sit down and do it myself, especially around Christmas, Black Friday, Labor Day sale, 4th of July and all that stuff, where a lot is happening for every single client. It's good to just be on board and be available, not just because, a lot of you would say, no, you need to have work-life balance and boundaries and stuff. And 100% I agree with that. At the same time, I don't think answering a Slack message at 9 p.m. destroys that balance. It's not me sitting in front of my computer every single day for 12 hours and not doing anything else. It's, maybe I'm out on the town, like I'm in a bar, I received this message, I have no problem responding, just like I would to a friend or to a family member, because at the end of the day, I respect my team. I like working with them and I want the best for them as well. And I want the best for my clients as well. It's not just a monetary exchange that's very cold and I don't care. Like I care about them and I want us to do well as a business, because if we're doing well as a business, I'm doing well. I'm getting bonuses, I'm getting raises, and I'll be fine. But if we're struggling and, I would feel that I contributed to that because I wasn't, putting my best effort in, I couldn't blame anyone if, one day I got fired or something. Well, if one day they ended the contract or something. So that's my day. Now, when I worked solo, like as a freelancer, I just want to point out that I did have a lot less work. And part of that is because I never took on too many clients because I didn't like looking for clients. So it was convenient for me to have like 1 or 2 projects at a time. And actually transitioning to working with an agency, I was really scared of that I wouldn't be able to handle the amount of work. Because think about it, working for like 5 years, doing, just a little bit every day of actual work. Like I would sit in front of my computer morning until evening because I was stressed, and, the client thing stressed me out a lot of the time. But work-wise, I wasn't getting through so much volume. Excuse me. So I definitely worried whether I would be able to handle it. But, I eased into it slowly. It was never, I was never pressurized to take on a certain amount. Like I was told what's normal for them, but they always emphasize that they care about quality over quantity. So it doesn't make sense for me to do 20 emails a day if only 2 of them will actually be usable. They really wanted me to like find my own balance of quality and quantity. And I love that. I love the culture within the agency, and it's the same thing I encourage in people that have come in after me, and I was kind of guiding them into their own process, like the designers when they came in and they would communicate with me a lot, or the new copywriter. I also encourage that in them because it just saves us time and it saves us work long term. So that is kind of everything. That's how it actually looks. If you have any questions, or if you'd like me to dive into any specific points of the day, or, whatever, like if you want to know more, then please leave me comments and questions below, because I do go through them and answer them. I also want you to know that I will be posting content that's not closely related to copywriting, but maybe to business in general, or I have like stories from my travels as a digital nomad and all these kind of crazy things that I would love to share with you as well. So if you're down for that, please stick around and watch those videos as well, because obviously it lets me know that it's cool to continue, and it lets that, just channel flourish and grow. And yeah, I'm trying to post daily, so that's why you're seeing a lot more content from me. But I am not editing my videos, so I just do it like this in front of the webcam. It's kind of like a stream, but it's recorded. So yeah, I had to sacrifice like editing and adding cool visual effects and whatever into the video, or even the quality of like the actual camera. But I enjoy this a lot more, and I feel like I can get information out to you faster, and it can be better quality, and it can be more up to date, So like last week, someone asked a question on like Wednesday, and on Thursday, I posted a video about it. So, I mean, can you get any better than that? So yeah, really, if you have questions, please leave me comments. And yeah, see you in the next video tomorrow.